Hello, good morning, students. In today's class, we are going to begin a new lesson, Chapter 16, Economic Liberalization and Globalization. When India became independent in 1947, our government accepted the path of planning to achieve speedy economic development because we need our economic development in the nation. It took over the charge of achieving speedy economic development by implementing 5-year plan one another and other. How he has taken this economic development by implementing, by forcing or imposing the 5-year plans. Monetary policy, fiscal policy and industrial policy have been announced for this. For this purpose, that monetary policy means related to money matters. Then fiscal policy means related to revenue tax matters. And industrial, the manufactured or some industrial policies have been announced. Although many of these plans were completed, success was not attained in achieving economic development in true sense. So some of the plans, the 5-year plans was imposed or implemented, but what are the expectation, what are the achievement they were expecting, it was not there. Hereby, government investigated the causes of failures and determined to give a new form to different economic policies in order to rectify the errors done in the past. That is why the government has taken new initiative, because what are the initiative they have taken, it was the failure. That is why they are trying to rectify the errors by doing the new policies. In that regard, the industrial policy of 1991, such economic reforms were implemented which could strengthen the economic development. So, through that, what is it? The industrial policy has, it was in 1991. These economic reforms were implemented which could strengthen the economic development. Through that, the economic development can be implemented, which are known as liberalization, privatization and globalization. So now we'll see one by one what is economic liberalization. Government gradually reduces the restriction and controls imposed on private sector and encourage economic development. So government slowly reduce the restriction, because they are given more restriction. So slowly they were reduce the restrictions and control imposed on where the private sector and encourage the economic development. For the economic development, they were encouraging for the private sector. Already we have seen that what is private sector, what is secondary sector and service sector. So for the economic liberalization, it was encouraging for private sector. This is known as the economic liberalization. Main economic reforms related to liberalization which were made in the earlier period were as also follows. The first one, there was a reservation for 18 industries. For the industries other than them, compulsion to take government permission were eliminated. The compulsory. So what were they doing? There was a reservation for 18 industries. 18 industries reservation was there. For these industries other than them, the compulsion to take government permission was eliminated. Means they were not giving any permission to establish new industries. Areas of other than railways, atomic energy and defense were open for private sector. For the private sector, the areas other than the railways, atomic energy and defense were open for the private sector. Tradition of compulsory registration for industries was cancelled. The means they were not given that the traditional or compulsory registration for the industries. So industries permission was not given. Provision to take government permission for setting up industries which do not cause pollution are not hazardous for environment was cancelled. So which are the type of pollution can be taken? That type also, because it will be the trouble for the environment. So that permission also was cancelled. So next we will see that some of the advantages of liberalization. So advantages or the merit of liberalization. As a result of liberalization, private sector has got an opportunity to make unconstrained development which led to increase in production. Already we said about some of the restrictions was reduced and all the all the things were given in the hands of private sector. That is why what happened then, what is it, as a result, liberalization, private sector got an opportunity forward to make the constrained development. Because of accepting policy of liberalization, global trade started getting an impetus, and there have been increase in the global trade. So one of the thing was good, so that was the global trade was increase. Because of the increase in foreign trade, there has been increase in reserve for foreign exchange. So foreign exporting or a foreign trade was there, but what happened, there has been increase in the reserve for exchange the foreign things. So they were exchanging. Internal infrastructure facilities increased due to liberalization. So internal infrastructure facilities also increased. So these are the some of the merits or advantages of the liberalization. But some disadvantages or demerit was there in the liberalization. So which are they? In spite of decrease in restriction, monopoly could not be checked. So already we said about some of the instruction was what is it, in the decreasing. So what happened, instead of decrease the restriction, monopoly could not be checked, means the private sector, what is in the individual, the private area should be checked. As focus has only been paid on industrial sector, India has remained backward in development in the agricultural field. Already we know that in the agricultural field, then India was little bit backward. Already reasons also we said about, because the still ordinary machines were using, the lack of skill and knowledge of the people, then the lack of money. So many reason was there. So this also was one of the in the development in the agriculture, the backwardness for the agriculture field. There has been increase in disparity of income. In disparity means that the differences in the income also having somewhat. Because of increase in imports and a decrease in export, foreign debt has been increased. So what we are doing? The increasing the import. The things are importing more and decrease in the export. Exporting things were less. So what happened? The foreign debt has increased. The importing was there, but the exporting was less. Then the next we will see that privatization. Privatization means the process in which ownership and management of industrial unit under state control is handed over to transfer the private sector is called privatization. So all the responsibilities, all the authorities has all the authority has transferred to the private sector. It was under the state control. Firstly, those areas which are reserved for public sector are open for the private sector. So these are the area where before it was in the public. So what happened when they are given to private sector? So the open for the private sector only. State keeps the ownership of state-owned companies under its control and gives the charge of management to the private companies, or state keep management in its own hand and gives ownership to the private company. So what we are doing? The state keep the ownership of state-owned companies. Now, some of the companies are for the state under this control and give the charge of management to the private companies. So what are what are the control were taken by the state or in the state government? So it has given to the private companies. State keeps management in its own hand and gives ownership to the private company. So all the ownership has given to the private company. So this is known as that privatization. So some of the advantages of the privatization. So what are the advantages? The first one is there is increase in number of production units in industrial sector. The industrial sector production was there more. Production has been increased in capital investment and consumable commodities due to privatization. So what happened? The production has been increased. Then consumable commodities due to the privatization. Working capacity of public sector has improved due to privatization of public sector enterprise. So working capacity of the public sector has improved. So these are the some of the points of privatization, merits or advantages of privatization. Next we'll see the disadvantages of privatization, disadvantages or demerits. Economic power has centralized as a result of privatization. Why? Because the economic power has centralized. So as a result of privatization, because of privatization, the economic power has centralized, because of which evil of monopoly has increased. Then cottage industries have not developed properly due to privatization. Cottage industry was not yet developed. Only large industries have been benefited. So through privatization, already we said about it is in the hands of the private people. So it was only for what happened, the large industries has been benefited. Then the price have not remained under control due to privatization. This had to lead to problem of price rise, and also the price have not remained under control due to the privatization. Because of privatization, the price cannot be controlled, and it has led to problem of price rise. So this was the one of the reason for the what is in the price rise. The third point we'll see that globalization. So what is globalization? Globalization is the process of connecting one country economy with the other economy, because globalizing, it was connecting to one country to other countries. In the global level, in the world level, we can see that. That is why globalization is the process of connecting one country economy with the world economy. So it was connecting in the world economy, as a result of which flows of goods, service, technology and labor is easily available in the world. So following improvements have taken place due to globalization. So which are the improvement has taken due to globalization? The first one is obstacle of trade between two nations have been removed. There was no obstacle, there was no hindrance among two nations. So that was removed. Such a condition has been created so that capital exchange can easily take place between two nations. So because of globalization, the trade was doing so easily. Obstacle in the way of exchange of technology have been removed. So what are the obstacle having? So that also in the exchange of technology, that also have been removed. Free exchange of labor may be there among different nations of the world. Free exchange of the labor. So it was also some kind of among different nations of the world. So next we will see that effect of globalization. What was the effect? Result of globalization. Mixed effect of globalization have been there in Indian economy. Many advantages and disadvantages are there, which as follows. In the globalization also there are advantages as well as in the disadvantages, merits as well as merit and demerits. So first we will see that advantages. Foreign direct investment, that is FDI, foreign direct investment is encouraged due to globalization. So foreign direct investment was increased. Goods produced in the development countries can easily be obtained due to globalization. Good produce or some kind of productions. So this also developed in the countries. So it can be easily obtained due to globalization. Developing countries like India can withstand competition at the international level due to globalization. So our country is not a developed country, our country is a developing country. So it can be withstand the competition at the international level. Why? Due to globalization. So next we will see that disadvantages of globalization. Expected success has not been attained in finding solution to the problem of poverty and unemployment due to globalization. Expected success. what will be the success, or waiting for more success. So expected success had not been attained in finding solution to the problem of poverty and unemployment due to the globalization. Means in the area of poverty and unemployment cannot be improved. Then developing countries have not acquired proper benefit of increase in export, which they should have acquired. Developing countries have not acquired what? The profit. So why? The benefit to increase the export, which they should have acquired. Large scale industries have acquired more benefit, while small scale industries have obtained less benefit. So because of globalization, it was benefit was given for got from what? Through the large scale industries. The next we'll see that World Trade Organization, WTO, World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization was established in 1st January 1995 by the member of United Nations. You can underline your textbook. So World Trade Organization was established in which year and date? 1st January 1995. Then the nation of the United Nations, its headquarters is located in Geneva in Switzerland. So you can underline your textbook. The World Trade Organization's headquarters is located where? In Geneva. You can underline your textbook. Then World Health Organization's headquarters is located in Geneva. Where is it? In Switzerland. Its objectives are followed. So we'll see now what are the objectives of the World Trade Organization. The first we will see that to remove obstacle influencing global trading. So all type of what is in the obstacles were removed in the field of global trading. Second one, to remove protection policy given to industries of country for foreign trade. To remove the protection policy. Some of the policy was there, that also removed. How? Policy given to industries of country for to remove the protection of policy given to industries of country for the foreign trade. Third point is to coordinate with the global trade policy and economic policy. There should be a coordination with the global trade policy and economic policy to solve the trade related disputes arising in the world. To solve the trade related disputes, all type of arguments or discussions. So these also were what happened, some kind of disputes were arising, so that also were solved through the trade. So these are some of the objectives of World Trade Organization. So next we will see then function. What are the functions of WTO or World Trade Organization? The function. So to set up required structure for implementation of agreement related to multinational trade and agreement related to it. Some kind of what is in the required structure for the implementation of agreement related to what? Multinational trade as well as in the agreement related. World Trade Organization plays a vital role for debate and negotiation for multinational trade. Or some kind of negotiations are there, debates are there. So that also can be in that area also the World Trade Organization plays a vital role, means the important role for these all the things, for the what is in the debate as well as in the negotiation for multinational trade. The third point is World Trade Organization WTO encourages unbiased international trade. So unnecessary any kind of biases should not be there. That also removed. That is why it has encourages unbiased international trade. Then fourth one is different nations follow their own national policy. So national policy must improve. Different nations follow their own national policy. It observes them and suggests required improvement. So because of this, it will give some kind of improvements. Next we will see that impact on Indian economy. Impact on Indian economy. India is a member of this World Trade Organization or WTO since in the inception. So from the inception means from the beginning onwards, some kind of India is a member of the World Health Organization from the beginning onwards. So what will be the impact of this organization of India, or which type of benefit would it India acquire? So from that the World Trade Organization, what are the benefits are there, as well as what are the things are acquired. The first we'll see that India's contribution to world trade was 5%. So contribution for the trade, India's contribution to the world trade was 5%. Our export have increased tremendously due to increase in the international trade. That is why, because of World Trade Organization, our Indian trade was increased. And then as a result, India's contribution in the world trade has increased 1%. Then second point is, being member of World Trade Organization, export of ready-made cloth of our country has increased. Some kind of exporting, but the ready-made cloth of our country has increased. Then as a result of WTO, India has been able to increase export of agro products. So already we know some clothes. We have cloth that cotton cultivation is there. Through the cotton cultivation and all, different types of cloth can be what is in the prepare and make can be product and can be sent to other country. The same way the agro products in the agriculture field also exporting was doing. Due to increase in export, pressure in imports has reduced, and foreign investment has been increased in foreign exchange. So what happened? Due to increase in the export, we were exporting the thing, and also pressure on importing. So that is why we are exporting something, we have import also. What happened? But imports has reduced. Why? And foreign investor has been increased in the foreign exchange. Thus, a member of World Trade Organization, India will not only get above mentioned, but benefit also has to comply with some condition. It is especially depend on how fast India increase its infrastructure facilities and how developed countries trade in India. So that is why that some kind of, it is especially depend on how fast India increases its infrastructure facilities. Some infrastructure facilities also increase, and how developed countries treat in them. Next, sustainable development. According to the definition of sustainable development is the development which meets the needs of present generation without compromising with the ability of future generation to meet their needs. Means it was not expecting for the future generation. How we can, the present generation can be, how can meet their needs. That only known as that is sustainable development. Thus, the idea of sustainable development developed because of extreme effects of nature, near human habitation, and a man-created cover, etc. Then that is environment. The way and the speed with which present generation is developing, it cannot be maintained the future. There is a fear that luxurious which present generation is enjoying may not be there for their future generation. So what are the things are the present generation was enjoying? So some luxurious enjoyment is there, or they are enjoying very easily with a luxurious way. So that should not be, may not be there for the future generation. There is a tremendous decrease in natural resources due to economic development, and their quality is also deteriorating. The quality also going down. This condition, there is a need to change the idea of development. Idea of sustainable development is studied because the present development and effect of it on environment. Next we will see that following strategy should be adopted for conservation and preservation of natural resources. How the natural resources can be keep and conserve. The renewable natural resources like cultivable farm, forest, water resources, etc. should be used in such a way that their quality is maintained, and non-renewable natural resources like coal, petroleum, minerals, etc. should be used judicially, because the renewable natural resources can be cultivated again and again. So the renewable, non-renewable cannot be reproduced. That is why we have to non-renewable natural resources should be used judicially, means in with a necessary way. Industrial location should be dedicated on the basis of lesser transportation costs. A sincere attempt should be made to achieve eco-friendly development. So, what happened? The industrial location should be decided on the basis of lesser transportation cost, means less transportation rate. A sincere attempt should be made to achieve but eco-friendly, because with the with the environment, some kind of friendship or a friendly friendly relation should be keep. Those resources which can be used in more than one should be utilized different ways, such as different irrigation systems are utilized for more than one purpose. Example, producing electricity, flood control, transportation. So from this what happened, the resources which can be used in more than one way should utilize in different ways. For example, with water, so we can make electricity, then we can do the in the irrigation, and also we can through the water we can do our domestic work, the building construction, what are things like. Natural resources should not be wasted. Control should be laid on unplanned disposal of industrial waste, the poisonous chemicals, increasing slums. So what should do? Then we should not waste the natural resources. The fifth point is stress should be laid on use of non-conventional energy resources such as solar and wind energy. So these are the non-conventional energy. So what should do? Stress should be laid on use of these things. Then the last point we will see that steps taken to protect the environment. For the first time, Earth Conference was organized in 1972 at Stockholm in Sweden. You can underline your textbook. The first Earth Conference was held in Stockholm in Sweden. Thereafter, from time to time, convention campus have been organized to protection of environment and the global level. Afterwards, many conference was held on, in which it was decided to different steps for environmental protection. India is also involved in this global effort. Government is also making different efforts at the national level. So, which are they? The first one is information about pollution condition of different cities of nations is presented. Second point is central and state pollution controls board have been established to control of the pollution. For the pollution control should be taken by central as well as in the state department. Then 5th June has been declared as Environmental Day in the world. 5th June has been declared as the Environmental Day. You can underline your textbook. The Environmental Day has been celebrated or declared as the 5th June. Then in India, government passed Air Pollution Act in the year of 1981. 1981, the Indian government passed Air Pollution Act. Then international agreements have been signed for deteriorating level of ozone, disposal of nuclear waste, and maintenance of biodiversity. So in the conclusion, we'll see that thus the conservation of environment is everyone's responsibility. If we do not control pollution, no doubt the life of the earth will be doomed soon. So our duty, we have to control the pollution in the environment. So students, today's class we have seen that what is it in the economic liberalization and advantages, then global liberalization and advantages, and lastly we have seen that what is it, global privatization and its advantages, the World Trade Organization, and the steps how to take to protect our environment. So thank you students. Wishing you all a good luck. Let's see in next class.